do. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We're gonna be checking out the Madagascar map. With is it my team rules or hey my team rules?
Yep. Hey, my team rules. You can call me Joe.
Joe. All right,
Hey,
Joe.
everyone.
All right, Joe. So, so far, this map looks amazing. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about the map and how long into the development process? How long did it take you
Sure.
to work on this map and things like that?
Well, I've been working on this map for just about a year now. I started back in late February of 2016. So, um, throughout that time, it's sort of been continuously in development. I probably spend a few hours every day on it,
So,
but it takes a long time.
so you said so how do you go about working? And why do you choose to make it? Did you base it on the actual Madagascar island, or is there a reason why it's called Madagascar?
Yeah, the reason is that it sort of has this biome layout that resembles a central South African kind of Serengeti sort of feel. And so when we were trying to come up with the name, we just put a bunch of ideas in a hat, and pretty much Madagascar seemed to represent what the long-term vision of the map was going to be. And so throughout that development process, we've just been trying to make things, somewhat thematic and represent a realistic expression of what Madagascar looks like.
So I'm not very familiar with the actual Madagascar island. Are you planning to add certain biomes that are very specific to Madagascar, or are you planning to to add more things that are like art related, like a volcano or a
Oh,
snow
well, when I
biome,
think
things like that?
Madagascar, the first thing I think is the baobab trees, so those big, thick trunk trees that are sort of on the tropical savannas. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to add to this map. And so that was added a few months ago, and those trees are acting as redwoods, so you can build a tree house and get sap from them. So that's probably the most Madagascar thing we have. But really, it's like, the savanna feel and the transition from the tropical beaches to the forest to the savanna. That sort of progression is what I think captures the essence of Madagascar the most. Just that ecological representation of
So
the
this is
island of
so this is
Madagascar.
one of those trees you were just telling me earlier where
Yeah.
so in that case, so there are no redwood trees then in that map. It's just
No, there are no redwoods
they're
on
not redwoods.
Madagascar Evolved.
Okay, so you're using these trees instead for building. Oh, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Yeah. So how many are you using? Any custom assets? Are you using your own assets, or are you borrowing mostly from the vanilla game?
This map uses a lot of HD custom assets. So probably about half of the plants that you see in the jungle are custom assets, and the baobab trees are custom assets too. Also, the textures for the rocks, the cliffs, the some of the sand, the jungle floor, it's all custom HD. And the music.
Oh, I just got some. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I guess you're using your own sound files too. That is really nice.
Yeah, so when I started working on this map, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish was make it sort of an HD version of the island. Some people, I think, need to have lower quality textures, so like that's still included on this map. It just
Hmm.
depends on your graphic settings, but I wanted to be able to push the maximum texture resolution, and that comes with a lot of optimization. So if you're out there and you're having problems with memory, I hear you. it's going to be sorted out though in the future.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how do you have how does the resources spread out across the island? Do you have any specific areas where there's like this amount of resources, or do you have like all the resources
Yeah.
spread out evenly and spawns and things like that? How does that work
Well,
in
really,
Madagascar?
it's just about, balance for PvP, especially, and accessibility. So right now we're flying over the jungle biome, and what makes this biome different is that it has a lot of uneven terrain and very limited access to water. So because boats are so important for being able to store lots of metal, having metal supplies that are located far away from the water means that you can add more, and that'll still be somewhat balanced. People won't be able to just show up in one location and gather 2,000 metal. Um, but there's always some kind of gameplay logic that goes into where the resources are. I'll show you this area in particular. It's far away from all the water, but it has a lot of concentrated metal ore, salt, and things like that. So if you were a new player and maybe you weren't as established, you didn't have a Quetzal, you could come up here and build a base and sort of be hidden but still have access to resources.
That's really nice. So you're saying that are so how are you working with the Scorched Earth stuff? Are you having I see a couple of Scorched Earth resources here. So do you have like all of the Scorched Earth resources, or how many of the Scorched Earth creatures do you have in this
All
map?
of the Scorched Earth creatures are included except the boss. Um, that includes, moths, mozzachops. All of those things are located in the drier parts of the map. So things like the deserts or the dry savannas, the high desert, that's where you find all of those. But all the resources are included: salt, sulfur, silk. You can find silk in the jungle. Right now we're just flying towards the beaches.
This is really cool.
Scorched Earth dinos are pretty much where you would expect them to be given where they are in Scorched Earth. Like, sandworms are in the sand dunes. Um, it's all much what you would expect.
So with that being said, have you planned, or are you adding any weather effects or its own custom weather effects? Like, what are your plans with that?
Oh
Or
yeah, so I did experiment with one custom weather feature, and that's that this map combines rain with the electrical storms on Scorched Earth to create these really intense rainstorms. And those can last anywhere from 10 minutes to a half hour of real time. And they do knock out electronics. So being on this map, you have to be prepared for that. You could have a lightning storm that affects the region that your base is in. And it might cut out your power for your refrigerator for a day in game. That's one custom weather. I would like to add more. Like, maybe I could edit the sandstorm to make a hurricane or something, but that's something that I'll experiment more with later. It is all possible though.
now, have you added any explorer nodes, or how does this map work? Like with tech tier, for example, like do you have your own bosses or things like that?
Well, Tech Tier did just come out, and right now it's about scrambling to get all those features in. Right now, we're just starting to get to the point where this map has an ocean, and it has, its landscape is detailed and starting to look a little bit better in terms of quality. Do you want me to type infinite stats on your bird, by the way?
That'd be nice.
But as the map gets developed, we're adding more and more features. So definitely Tech Tier is in a near-term update. It doesn't have any Explorer notes right now. That's another thing that I really want to add soon. Lately, it's been about getting this ocean done. That was the last thing that has been patched in, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think a really large ocean, and it's pretty detailed underwater. Maybe we can look at that in later part of the video.
Yeah,
But
sure.
right now, I'll just head towards the desert, and we can see the savannah on the way.
Nice. So, what is the size overall with the map compared to some of the other maps like the center or the island?
This map is, I think, about a 1 1/3 the size of the island. It's much larger in terms of playable area, and it's much larger in terms of land mass. Uh, One thing that's different is that there aren't a lot of really wide rivers and swamps that cut in between the land, and there actually is a lot of accessible flatland. So I feel like this map, um, well, I guess I should say other people have told me that they feel this map is very large and fun to explore. So there's, more than just the actual amount of in-game meters. It has to do with the accessibility of the terrain, I think.
That's nice. So, what about caves? Are you like planning to add any caves, or do you have any existing caves?
Yeah, I've worked on one cave and I put it all together and it worked for a while. And then some new stuff was added, the new cave difficulty system. And um, I sort of thought that the cave that I made was causing lag. So I removed it and closed it for now. And then I'm going to re release it later when it's more optimized. Caves are definitely something I'm going to be working on this month in the next few weeks. But it's all coming together one thing at a time. This is the savannah, by the way. It's
This is really nice. It actually feels like I'm flying through a savannah. It is really cool.
Yeah, I like this area. One thing that went into its design is that it's right in the middle of the map, right in the middle of the continent. So you can look in all directions and see some kind of distant biome. And so I think that works really well with not having a lot of trees, because you can get this sort of wide open feeling.
So what? So recently, I read that you are now the Walker is now going to be paying you to work on this map, or how does that work now? What is going to be now your long term goal, and that you have the support from Walker and things like that.
Right. I am super happy about, being chosen for the sponsored mods program. It was just announced yesterday, and a ton of people have been downloading the map. I think I got something like 500 new subscribers last night. It's really wonderful. And they have decided that they are giving 15 modders a $4,000 stipend to work on their mods. And that will be allocated every month. So there might be new people um, who are on the list every month. So I guess from my point of view, it's just, such a great opportunity to maybe purchase some more assets, spend a lot more time working on different features that I've, been putting off, like caves, and making sure that I get those tech tier components into the game even faster than before. Money is really something that modders are used to not having. So it opens up a lot of doors.
I totally agree with
Really,
you, and this is really amazing. So, are you planning to add more land to the island, or are you happy with the current size, or what is your plan for that? Like, you plan to add another island here and there, or what's the plan with that?
the plan is to add more if I can, because I would like to have a rounded out continent with beaches on all sides. What's preventing me from doing that is that I want to focus on one area at a time and make it complete, but also I want to make sure it's optimized so people um, don't lag. For example, the center is a very large map and it's extremely well optimized. So even though it's bigger and has more assets, people can run it and even if you have a couple-year-old computer, you can still run it just fine. And so I want to make sure that this map is accessible for everyone before I start adding, even more land. But the plan is to eventually have beaches on all sides. Right now, we're coming up towards the border area where it just sort of cuts off. This is the dunes area. It's still a work in progress. I'm going to add a lot more detail. It's completely blank.
You plan to like certain how are you gonna use like the? Because I know some people talk to me about the ruin assets and how like in the past like maps like Valhalla didn't have any ruins and then they added ruins. Some people didn't like that. Some people like that. Like, what's your plan with like using ruins and like more aesthetics, or like are you planning to use your own custom assets to give like more? What's the word I'm looking for? Like landmarks. Like people usually base themselves with landmarks. Like I'm here, I'm there, instead of like when they're trying to describe the area where they're at. Like how you gonna plan to balance that out, differentiate the map so people have a way of knowing where they are, like indicate player what's going on around them.
I think having custom ruins would accomplish that in a lot of ways. I'm not opposed to using the default ruins. I sort of want to experiment in the editor and see how the gameplay is affected by having ruins, and how it affects the aesthetic of the map, of course, is very important. But you brought up a good point where it's like you need to have these reference objects so people don't get lost. For one, that's why I opted to include all of the obelisks, because those sort of act like cardinal directions for people before you unlock the compass. I think in the future there might be, yeah, I can say that people should expect some more elaborate ruin structures like you can see on the center or other custom maps.
That's pretty cool. So is it just one person working on the map? Do you have a team, or how is that? What is your
It's
overall development process in this?
it's mostly just me working on it, and I do collaborate with some people, and there are some really important people who give me ideas and test the map and work with me on it that can't be overlooked.
That's really cool. So what about the dino spawns? I know we were flying to Savannah, so a couple dinosaurs. That's pretty cool. Like, how do you have like the dinos spawns spread out? Like, would I find certain dinos in certain areas, or do you have like more spread out where I can find pretty much everything?
Um, the density is pretty similar to the default island because a lot of the spawn lists and the spawn settings themselves are just copied straight from the island, because I do want to have that gameplay element pretty much stable and consistent, so people come on this map and they just get a new map, and it's not about changing all the spawns. But when you're walking around the map, there's going to be dinosaurs at every turn, and they're divided based on biomes, just like they are on the island. You have grassland dinosaurs, jungle dinosaurs, they're smaller, ocean biome dinosaurs, and that's how they're divided on this map as well.
That's really cool. I really love the view here, like of seeing the mountains on the distance. That's pretty amazing. Now, do you have how many? I know I asked you this before, like caves. Like, how many caves are you planning to add, or are you planning to add any underwater caves? And what, like, what are your future plans? Like, what are you working on right now? Like, what are your future plans for the map now?
I think that once I get the entire landscape detailed, I'm going to spend all of my energy on caves, and I'm going to try to make a cave for each artifact and custom boss arenas. It sounds like a lot, but I'm going to be working on this a lot, I think, in the next few months, so it shouldn't be a problem. People can expect it in the next few months.
Ooh, I really like this area.
I'll probably make more than 10 caves
More than 10
because I think
caves.
there are 14 um, artifacts. And there are probably going to be more than 5 underwater caves.
Now, do you have any restrictions where people can build, or can I pretty much just build anywhere? Like how you balance in certain areas where you think would be a little bit too OP for players to build, or have you not considered that yet into the development process?
No, I haven't restricted building in any part of the map. I think if I do make caves, there could be parts of that that are restricted, but I'm okay if people want to um, build in some parts of the caves. In terms of the overland, it's all unlocked. You can build on any peak or any rock or anything, as long as you have enough flat land.
This is really cool. I really
Yeah,
love the detail on the how the terrain, just like the like we're flying to Savannah, and you see the mountains. It just says like a really cool moment of having a really nice view. You know, like, oh, I could build here, I could build there, things like that. I really like it.
well,
I like it so far.
thanks.
Yeah.
This biome we're in right now, this
Mhm.
mountainous area, it's sort of reminiscent of something from Madagascar in the real world. It's called the rock forest,
Mhm.
and that's in the western part of Madagascar in the tropical forest. It's a very interesting rock formation that I think is caused by volcanic activity, and it does cause the rocks to shoot up into the air like they are in that biome we were just in.
I see. I see that you have a custom asset for the sky of like
Oh yeah, the nebula.
you added the actual nebula.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really amazing. That's pretty cool. So it's players. That's actually something I haven't seen on any most or any other custom map. Like changing the sky view. When you look up, it's just really nothing. So this actually adds another element to it. I think players are gonna
Yeah,
find really cool.
that's half the map, you know, looking up.
Yeah,
Look up or look down. Custom. We can go into the ocean and check out that part of it now since we're
sure.
close to it. Yeah, this jungle is sort of new. It just came out um, in December, the end of last year, and it I think is a big improvement over the old jungle. I don't know if anyone listening ever played that, but what I had to do was scale down the trees a lot and try to make it more dense so that you really, I think, get a feeling now when you're running around the jungle that it's easy to get lost, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I really love the view, especially having that nebula adds. It just makes the map so much. It makes the map so much different for me. It's like, oh, cool. I can look at that all day with a campfire, waiting for someone to
Yeah.
jump at me with a club.
Yeah, it's
I was gonna ask you, how many biomes do you have so far in the map, or how many biomes are you planning to add, or are you planning to add any biomes at all?
well, I guess there's probably about maybe 6 major biomes because there are major biomes that are different, and then within those biomes there's some variation. So when I kind of plan the biomes, the idea originally is pretty simple. As you go east, oh, there's that music. I'll just wait.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, this music is cool because it happens right as the sun goes down, and then the nebula pops out, sort of dramatic. You got the didgeridoo.
As a dramatic effect into it.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Are you planning to add now? Now I'm gonna ask you another question with that. Are you planning to add any other sky effects like maybe like or
Yes.
okay.
I want to upgrade the sky even more. I want to have a higher resolution texture for the nebula, and then I want to see if I can add things like comets.
Comets. That's
Um,
really cool.
yeah, or maybe I could add a moon that isn't a perfect sphere like ours,
Hmm.
but maybe it's more like a Martian moon. Because Ark does have that sort of sci-fi mysterious aspect, and I definitely think that having a good sky brings that out. They did it with extinction mode with the falling asteroid.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think something players will definitely enjoy.
Really, I've been working on this ocean, trying to make sure that all of the new sea dinos, like the vampire squid, are included on the map. So I think those are really cool new features.
Now, how much of the ocean is it done of Madagascar? Do you feel like you have a 50% done with it, or how do you feel? How much work have you put into the underwater parts of the map?
Well, it took me about a couple weeks to fill out the terrain and do all the texturing and place all the foliage. Something that I want to add is underwater caves. I already mentioned. So I definitely want to come back and address different areas of the underwater biomes. But for now, I think they're pretty much complete. Only half of the map is surrounded by water. So when I add the other beaches, then maybe I'll have to revise the underwater areas, but who knows?
Okay. Are you planning to add like any kind of volcanic stuff in the water, or are you planning to add anything?
Yeah, I would like to do. There is a large ocean bed area that doesn't have a lot of terrain. It's just sort of flat, and I know that in a lot of real coastal shelves there are these gas vents that have a lot of things like shrimp and crabs around them. So I think it would be cool to add that as a feature. Maybe have some of those yucca. I forget what they're called, but they're the little shrimp that knock you out on the ocean floor. I'll probably add those biomes. Did I do infinite stats on your
Oh yeah, you did.
Alton?
I think you did.
Okay, good. Yeah, so there's some stuff that I want to come back and work on, but for now, this is a bare bones underwater area, and it actually has been fully covered by things like coral and spawns, and it's fully playable.
That's really nice. Um, what are your plans for maybe underwater bases when that's available with the
Ooh,
Madagascar?
yeah, I would like to have a really detailed underwater gameplay environment. Of course, I have to try that for myself when that underwater tech tier patch comes out.
Mhm.
Um, but what I would like to do is maybe create something like mini Mariana Trench where you could go down and there would be a pitch black ocean and nothing but, the glow of the anglers. So, yeah, there's some more features for the ocean that I'd like to add. Like I said, it just came out yesterday, so I'm still sort of testing it.
Okay, that's nice. What about the like how players are gonna find certain water dinos? Like if they're hunting for alpha mosasaurs, is there like any specific areas, or how do you have those spread out?
Um, Pretty much I tried to make all of the big sea monster dinosaurs separated. So if you go in like the northern sea, you'll find more of the mosasaurs, and if you go in the southern sea, you'll find more plesiosaurs and the vampire squid. Yeah, I don't remember how to
That's
pronounce
really
it
cool.
too
Yeah,
well.
I can't pronounce it either, so
have
Really nice.
nicknames, but I feel like nobody calls it the same thing that I do.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like
really
we all
nice.
come up with
So
nicknames for these dinosaurs.
this is pretty cool. How many underwater caves are you planning to add?
Well, the island has something like. Actually, I'm not sure. I think when I started playing the game, they had like at least 5. So I'd like to have at least 5, maybe as many as like 7 or 8. But I'll probably spread them out as far as they're spread out on the island because I really actually do like pearl diving.
Mhm.
When I play the vanilla island, and I like the amount of depth that you have to traverse in order to get to pearls. I think that's pretty balanced. They did a good job. So I want to keep that very reminiscent of the island. I don't think people should expect the gameplay for underwater on this map to be super different, but I do think that it'll be more detailed, and hopefully, if I do make any changes, they'll be aesthetic.
Yeah, of course.
But right now, there are pearls sort of in the deeper shelves. Um, as the water gets deeper, the dinosaurs get more difficult, and the resources get better. So it's pretty much like the island. And it's pretty big. I mean, I was surprised when I started working on this. I really forget how big this ocean is. Like, where's the land right now? I don't even know.
Yeah, I just don't see the land. This is actually a good point. Oh, it's actually foggy. That's why.
It's just really foggy. Although we can go way out there, and you can get pretty far away from the land, although there isn't much of a point because it's just empty seafloor. In the future, there will be something like a chasm out there, like I said, geothermal vents.
That's pretty cool. Well, is there anything you would like to tell the fans of this map, or where can people find you and things like that?
Well, I mostly talk to people on my workshop page, and you can just search the Steam Workshop for Madagascar Evolved, and I'm always in there, listening to people's feedback and comments, and it's really important for how I work on the map because it determines what I prioritize.
All right, excellent, Joe.
But if you like the map, like it, favorite, subscribe. It really helps, and thanks for playing. I really appreciate your patronage.
no problem. Thank you for letting me in. Really, really like this map actually. Anyway,
Awesome,
thank you,
I'm
Joe,
glad.
and I guess
Had a
I'll
good time.
yeah.
Thanks
Me
for having
too.
me on your channel.
All right, no problem. I guess I'll talk to you next time.
Bye.